Hey everyone, a bit of a somber one this week, but I am joined by one of the Cheer Squad's finest, Nick. Hello.
G'day, Shan. Thanks for having me. G'day, everyone watching.
No worries at all. We've been trying to organise something most of the season, but no, we've got you and got you right at the end, which better late
Yeah, I
than
get to
never.
come on and I get to come on and celebrate all the good news. Yeah, great.
Look, this season has been fantastic, regardless of the result on the
It
weekend,
was.
and we'll get into the game. I said last week to Amanda that I'd be disappointed, but not overly upset if the result didn't go our way. And look, I'm incredibly proud of the group overall for getting as far as they did. But we were completely outclassed on the weekend.
Massively. Yeah. As many inroads as this group have made this year, I think what the weekend showed me at least was the top two. Now, these two teams have now played in 3 grand finals in a row.
Yeah.
So there is a top two. The gap between them and the rest is still quite vast. But that's not to say that getting there with such a young group, having come from 14th last year, getting to a prelim final and getting to play on a stage like that, but against a team as experienced as Brisbane, they've got a handful of players about to play in their 6th grand final. There's only been 10 seasons.
Yeah.
So there's a handful of their players about to play in their 6th grand final. So it's the experience at that level. How often do we say, certain players, you haven't played how do you perform in big games? Well, for Brisbane, that wasn't necessarily, well, of course it's a big game, but they've been there and done that before and they knew what to expect. I think a handful of our players seemingly, not that they shied away from the occasion when it came, but they just weren't prepared for the pressure and the speed and the intensity that Brisbane brought. And but I think they'll take some learnings out of that. There's so much to take away. Even in a loss, I'm similar to you. I'm obviously disappointed, but at least I would have been worse off if they had have been in a position to win and choked or gotten
100%.
absolutely obliterated by 14 goals or something. Had it have been one of those sort of losses, I would have been pretty upset. But for, I reckon, about a half of the game, they held their own against a very, very good side. So
Absolutely.
I think they'll come away. I've seen footage, at least what they've released publicly, of Bucky speaking to the group after the game. They seem pretty switched on as to what went wrong. Now it's the time to learn from that and grow and expand and see if we can't go 1 or 2 better next year.
Absolutely. And when you look at some of the names on Brisbane's list, in comparison to our players, I think we only had maybe 3 or 4 on our entire list that have had finals experience prior to.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, that would be the 3 OGs, Bree, Gab and Das.
And Harriet Cordner.
Oh, yes, okay.
I'm pretty sure she's played finals before.
She started. Did Harriet start at the D's? Where did Harriet start?
I'm pretty sure she did.
Before Richmond.
I'm pretty sure she was at Melbourne. Or but in comparison, you've got the Spark sisters, Ali Anderson, you got Dakota, you got Hodder.
Did Gold Coast make finals last year at all?
Gold Coast?
They haven't made finals before? Tara might have played with them.
Tara, yeah. I didn't even.
Maybe. I've got a feeling there was a season that they made the finals because I remember it being said that they made the finals before Gold Coast men did.
Was it last year?
Whether or not Tara played, I don't know, but maybe not.
No, I can't. Oh, I'm pretty sure they did, but I think they went out first week last year.
Yeah, maybe. Well, Tara might not have been playing in it, but that's all right. Yeah.
No, but when you look in comparison to, like you said, the Sophie Conways, the Conans of the world, they're
Ali Anderson, they're all about to play in their 6th grand final.
Absolutely, and Ali Anderson's played over 100 games of AFLW football.
It's crazy, yeah.
I
Well,
don't think
those three, I would argue
Brisbane.
those three alone, and maybe throw in one or two others, have possibly played more cumulative games than about 2/3 of the girls that went out and played for us on the weekends combined.
Absolutely. And
There'd be about 250 games of experience between those three. And
absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, like we held our own for that. I reckon for that first half, we were only within 5 points at half time.
Yep.
And then I think just that experience kind of took over in that third quarter, and they got the jump on us, and then there was no coming back. And like we managed to hold them at that 6-goal lead for the rest of the game. But I think the damage was done in that first 5-10 minutes of that third quarter.
Yeah, and I think at the very, very end, not to say that they put the cue in the rack, Brisbane, but their intensity dropped a little bit, so that we were probably able to stay within a respectable margin. But at the same time, our team didn't necessarily drop their heads and just go into their shells and roll over and cop it. Off air, just before we went on, we mentioned a handful of players. I thought Harriet Cordner was outstanding, and we would have probably gotten belted if it weren't for Harriet down back. Dana Finn,
yeah.
Well, Harriet. Well, with the two we mentioned are all Australian, so
absolutely. There's a reason
and for a reason. It wasn't just on the weekend; all season they have been magnificent, and I think on the weekend was no different. Those two definitely led the way again.
Yeah.
First half, especially, I thought Abby McKay led the team really, really well. Out of the middle in the second half, I think we got belted, but that's not just on Abby; that's on everyone in that midfield. So there's so many positives to take and so many ways that this group can grow. And by all reports, we're linked to about, just in true Carlton fashion, off season comes and we're linked to about 400 different players.
Doesn't matter what code, eh?
No, but all the names so far that we've been linked to would walk into majority of teams in the league.
Absolutely.
And it'll raise a few questions about what this group looks like next year, depending on who comes in.
And who goes.
Potentially, yeah. I don't see, like, with such a young developing group, I don't see anyone necessarily jumping ship and abandoning. But it'll really create some selection headaches, which will be a good thing. One thing that worked in this group's favour and helped us get to a prelim was our fitness. We ended up with 0 injuries on the list heading into finals, which is unheard of.
Absolutely unheard of when you look at the likes of Hawthorn, who had about 3/4 of their team on the injury list.
Yeah, and we got Hawthorn at a really good time in that semi. A handful of them played hurt, and so things were falling into line, and momentum really worked in our favour late in the season. That's not to take away from what we've achieved.
Yeah.
But would our depth have been able to carry us as far had we had 2 or 3 injuries to key players? Possibly not.
Yeah.
So bringing in all these, if however many of these potential targets we are going to land, would at least, the very least, help address the question mark around would there have been enough depth to carry us in? But it can only strengthen our position moving forward.
Oh, 100%. And I'm looking forward to seeing what those changes will be in the next little while, because I'm pretty sure the trade period opens up in a week or so after grand final.
That's a very good question. I have seen. 1 second.
I'm just thinking, like, I reckon they would be it'll go pretty close to kicking off pretty quickly. So, like,
I don't think it's far off. I've got a feeling it might even be. Here we go.
Because a lot of clubs have already made a lot of these changes already.
So the trade period runs from the 4th to the 10th of December, so late next week.
2 weeks. Yeah, next week. Yeah. So, yeah, week after grand final. I thought so.
And then the draft not long after that. So it looks like ever since Carlton lost out in the race to land Sunny Lappin, so Matthew Lappin's daughter was projected top 5 in this AFLW draft. Nominated Gold Coast. So because they live up on the Gold Coast, had the option of nominating Carlton or St Kilda or an NGA for the Gold Coast. Chosen Gold Coast because stays local to where she lives. All her friends, family, and everyone's already up there. So in the end, it seems like a no-brainer for her. Good on her. But I think once we got out of the race for her, our focus shifted well away from the draft by all reports.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, we've been now linked to about 42 different players.
Yeah. What's her name? Boyloo from Adelaide?
Yep. So this time last year, Brooke Boyloo was named in the best 22 under 22.
Yeah.
And so a young star, strong in the contest, midfield. I wouldn't be surprised if comes in and plays inside mid, but should we land her? Just another body. You mentioned in that second half how, Abby and Mim and Dana and the help in there just maybe wasn't what it could have been.
Yeah.
Just a big body. She's got a bit of height about her too, Brooke, as well. So might have a few other options running around. We've also been, the one who I'm excited about especially, we've been linked to Cambridge McCormick from GWS. So just last night, or the other night, just got named All-Australian.
Yep.
Off half-back on Monday night, was it? Yep. He's contracted for next year, but apparently has been requesting a trade, allegedly. So if you can bring an All-Australian into your team...
100%.
And we just spoke about, how hard it was on the likes of Harriet to stand up against the firepower there. If you're bringing in another All-Australian into our back six, can only really help there. We've been linked to Lauren Bella, who's Gold Coast ruckman.
Yeah, we're linked to everybody at this point. And just touching back on Brooke for a moment, she's 20 and she's 170 centimeters. So she is quite up there in terms of height. So yeah. Looking good.
What Brooke also brings, what I've seen, admittedly, I don't watch all of the Crows games, but what I have watched of the Crows, when I said before, a bit of a help in the stoppages and stuff, it's real hunger for the contest. Doesn't mind a tackle, doesn't mind a bit of a scrap. And when it comes for time for finals, if we're able to get there again next year, you just want players who are going to be up for a fight. And I think that, the excitement that Carlton, especially at the back end of the season, the likes of Sophie McKay and Dana and Ronnie and the flashy stuff we seem to do really, really well. When there's a game that's going to be a bit of a slog and just a rough and tough contest, we didn't really have to expose ourselves to that as much. Maybe the Geelong game earlier in the year was a bit of that.
Yeah, with the rain and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But when it comes to a game that's going to be a real long, hard slog, you want players who are going to be up for a fight. Skill and finesse is awesome, but you got to be up for a bit of a battle as well. But yeah, Lauren Bella is Gold Coast ruckman. So Gold Coast are in a bit of a weird position. We mentioned Sunny Lappin. They've got projected to get probably 5 of the first 6 picks in the draft will all be academy prospects.
Yeah, well, they've got a really strong academy up there. I think boys and girls in their academy. So look,
so if they're going to be getting that many picks up top, they're going to need draft picks to get in. So
yeah,
if we're not looking toward the draft, our draft pick is on the table. So Gold Coast, maybe we can do a bit of a deal for Lauren Bella. I've even seen this link to Claudia Whitford from Gold Coast, former best and fairest there. Claudia's played for a few clubs. I think she was at St Kilda, maybe Hawthorn as well. Yeah, and again, a former best and fairest at a club, best and fairest linked to the club. So it's not like the players we're being linked to are just struggling to find a game elsewhere.
No, they're quality players that are just wanting out of their current environment. So I'm more than
Lauren
happy.
Bella's the interesting one. If Lauren Bella comes in as a ruck, where does it leave Bree and Jess?
Maddie Torpy is the ruckman that we have on our list as well.
Yeah, so where would it leave them? Lauren Bella's definitely good enough for a starting position in the lineup, but who does it push out? And then does it push Jess or Brianne? Does it push one of them forward? Well, if it does push one of them forward, you've already got Mia Austin, Tara Bahana. you've already got, some forwards up there. What does it mean for the makeup? So it's going to be really interesting. And we mentioned additions to the list for next year. The captain, Karen Peterson's another handy player to get back. Experience. I said we want, big bodies and experience and everything as well. A bit of wisdom and experience around the team. What a potential inclusion.
Absolutely. She was back in the gym midway through the season, or not long after, I think, or 6 or so weeks after she had her son, because I was talking to a couple of the girls at some player visits, and I go, "Oh, how's Kez tracking?" And they go, "Oh, she's back in the gym." Couldn't keep her out of it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of her being integrated back into the main training. Do we keep Abby as captain? That's another question. I know the answer to that question. I want to keep Abby fresh blood, let Kez just play out her footy and not have to stress too hard about that.
Yep,
and just have youth.
But I also think for a younger group, a leader who is a bit younger than Kez, not to age out Kez or anything, but a younger captain who can possibly relate to that younger group a bit more. Absolutely. Bit of a more modern take. And it doesn't mean that Karen won't be a leader around the place. God knows, she's got runs on the board there. And we know that Mim's got undeniable leadership quality. And there's so many other leaders, whether it's Darcy or Gab or Bree, or I think Maddie Guerin's a great leader. And Tara Bahana's a former captain at Gold Coast. So there's leadership all over the park on our team. But yeah, it doesn't mean that Kez has to be. But I would definitely agree that I think Abby really, really grew into the role throughout this year.
Totally agree.
And there was a very deliberate mindset, which Abby's spoken about publicly and privately, but about performance reflects the way you're preparing. And if the preparation is fun, then the performance will feel less like work and it's more fun. Yeah. And that's been undeniable. You've seen the energy and the atmosphere around this group, and crowds are flocking back to Carlton games, to be really honest. They really are. And I think the leadership style that she's brought is focused on making footy fun again, but not at the detriment of focusing on the job at hand.
Yep.
And I think they've struck a really, really good balance, not just as a leadership group, but the coaching group. The vibe around the joint is really, really good at the moment. So I wouldn't, not that bringing back Karen as captain would change that, but I wouldn't be messing too much with that.
No, and Bucky mentioned it in our interview with him a few weeks ago, that he's just let the girls go about how they want to prepare as long as they're focused on the job. And it's been evident. Like, you can tell just the way that their energy when they're running out through the banner, or you can, even if you're watching at home, you can feel it through the TV, the way they sing the song after a win, just full of passion. And I think that having that shift this year in making it more fun has actually brought out a better quality of football amongst the entire group.
I was about to say, well, it brings unity, because there's a closer knit, because you're more involved in each other's lives and having fun together and everything, the bonds and everything are strengthened just naturally. But I think there's a handful of we'll call them the more experienced players who have been around for a while. It's been a shot in the arm for them. There was an amazing interview with Darcy a couple of weeks ago, where they said they were really thinking about their future at the end of the last season, and do they have to look elsewhere, or where do they fit into the team and everything. There's so many wholesale changes coming through the group. And Darcy's form even just looked rejuvenated. The new roll down back.
They were fantastic this year, and being able to swing them forward when we needed them to, and just that torp will be forever ingrained in my head.
Yeah, I only kicked a couple of goals, but they were all really memorable goals. Like, the Cats game I mentioned earlier, Darce gets the match winner. Yep. Tackle, free kick inside 50, kicks the sealer. The other one interstate was at Brisbane, I think it was. No, it was at Brisbane or Perth.
West
Coast Perth game. I knew it was interstate. Just memorable, yeah. But Darce not having to be the lone figure down forward.
Absolutely.
But if you need to throw them forward, it's another option. I think they've got a real good balance of experience on every line.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all these possible new recruits can only lead to good things.
I 100% agree. And I think it's going to be an interesting off-season for us in terms of that shift in like what players depart the club in whatever way, shape or form, and who comes in whatever way, shape
Is there
or form.
anyone possibly departing the club that you've heard rumours of or rumblings of?
No, that's the thing. I haven't heard anything. And like, I don't know if no news is good news, but there's always going to be a couple of players that
someone has to get pushed out. You've only got so many spots. If you're bringing in, let's say, 4 or so established recruits, 4 or so have to go. But who they are is up in the air.
Yeah,
pure
I think they're only having
speculation.
their exit meetings this week because
Pure speculation. My personal opinion is if someone of the quality of Keely Skepper has seemingly been pushed out of the best 22 or 21, however many they walk out with on game day, maybe that leads me to think that there might be other teams that would go, look, you walk into our side.
Absolutely.
But Keely's the sort of person that if you can keep them, the depth is just better. Last year at our best and fairest night, the best first-year player went to Meg Robertson. Well, Meg played limited games time this year. So there's a handful of, young talent on their list who they can go, just waiting to find their moment and their time. Just because you haven't starred this year doesn't mean you can't star in the future years.
Absolutely.
You and I have discussed about who we might think is the most improved player on our list. Who would you say?
Dana Finn for mine.
Okay. Yep. I was thinking the 2 players I was thinking of were maybe less marquee, if you will, but Lily Goss is one for mine.
Oh, yeah.
Who for the rest of her time at the club has kind of been
in and out.
A fringe player in and out.
Yeah.
Came in, given a defined role, and has smacked a few really, really, really handy players along the way. And my other one would be Millie Velado, who, again, from all reports, if trade week went for another hour or so last year, might have been off to the Swans. Came in, given a roll off half back, and again, I think Millie's ball use and footy smarts is the word I'd use, have been a massive reason for a lot of Carlton's free-flowing scoring chains that have just been so fun to watch. So just because they haven't smashed it this year doesn't mean that they can't have a role to play moving forward. So
absolutely.
Anyone quick to, move on to someone like a Keely Skepper or someone like that, I'd kind of say, look, as long as you're replacing Keely with someone better than Keely, I'd be hesitant to do it unless there was a very, very high price. But it's interesting times.
Absolutely, and we'll quickly touch on our All Australians this year and our lack of players that didn't win the Rising Star or Goal of the Year.
Or Goal of the Year, good Lord.
But
we thought Andrew Walker was robbed. Keely Sherrard, were you robbed? Anyway.
And that game was at Brighton Homes Arena, actually, as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think her goal was a lot better than Dakota Davidson's.
Well, Dakota's on the weekend was ace, but I don't think they count goals from finals. But no. Keely Sherrard was so far and beyond the best goal of the season, and there's no bias attached to that statement.
No, not at all. Nothing against Montana Ham and her ability to run and carry the ball.
It was a good goal, but no, Keely's was ridiculous. Yep.
Ronnie does that run and carry kicking goals every
twice a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but very, very proud of our 2 All Australians. Thought Ronnie was a little bit stiff.
That would have been and probably would have been close, but was in my calculations as well.
Yeah, but Harriet Cordner, if she didn't make the All Australian team, it would have been Jacob Wiedering areas for me.
Then some.
And
And
then
for me, Harriet would have, if I'm picking the All-Australian team, outside of maybe Ash Riddle, Jazz Garner,
they're
those
walk-ins.
types, outside of the top 2 or 3, Harriet would have been in the first 5 or 6 names I'd be putting in that side for mine.
Yeah. And like I look at the All-Australian side and it's a pretty solid side, like for what they've picked.
There's, that's why I'm kind of not okay with seeing Ronnie not make it, but understandable because there's a lot of real talent there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that speaks only higher volumes of what Dana and Harriet have achieved this year.
Absolutely.
Both had remarkable seasons.
That midfield and that half forward line, like, yeah, it's hard.
Well,
It was
think
hard.
Tilly Schultz made it on the bench, maybe.
Yeah, Tilly Schultz on the bench, Georgie Prasparkas, Gab Newton, Neve McLaughlin, and who's that last one?
Well, Georgie Prasparkas was another victim of Lily Goss. There you go. It's another one.
Yep. Lily Goss has her still in her pocket. And I thought, well, you couldn't put, could not put Indy Tahoe winning the goal kick.
Leading goal kicker. Yeah, I know. No, leading goal kicker.
Yeah, and you got Courtney Hodder, Kate Hoare, Talia Randall, and Anya McDonough. So that's
not one of them. Not one of them would I remotely think of dropping out. No.
Absolutely not. And like you mentioned Ash Riddell and Jazzy Garner. Like they're just incredible footballers.
Yep.
And Ella Roberts in her, I think it's her second year at West Coast. Absolutely, she tore us apart in 2 losing games.
Well, nearly in the first one in Perth, kept them in it single-handedly for about 3/4.
Absolutely, and she'll win, and she'll win a best and fairest league best and fairest in her career.
Who was it for West Coast when we played over there? It wasn't Swanson, maybe one of their players at quarter time went off ill and didn't come back on. They were vomiting or something in the rooms and didn't come back on. And I remember texting Brent from the WA supporter group, shout out to Brent, and he was there, and he said, I said, someone's gone off sick, and he goes, there's no way it can't be Roberts, can it? Because is doing this by herself, like keeping West Coast in it.
Was it Gibson?
Yes, it was.
Kelly Gibson. Kelly Gibson.
It was. And a handy player as well. But yeah, absolutely. No, Roberts very deserved to see him in finish second in the BNF in the MVP.
MVP, I think so. But in the actual overall BNF, it was Georgie Prasparkas came second in that one to Ash Riddell. So it came down to the last game. They were tied 20 apiece, and Ash
had a couple of games where she got 44 and 45 touches and no votes. So I think the closeness of the race was a bit inflated or deflated, if you will. But
if we're talking about players that didn't get votes in games, can we mention Dana Finn for a moment then, please?
Yeah, well, with respect to Dana, it wasn't 45 touches, but yes, there was a handful that Dana, I think there was 6 games she had 23 or more possessions and a couple of goals in all of them and didn't get a single vote in any, but anyway.
No. But look, let's do a quick grand final prediction because I think this is going to be an absolute cracker. It's going to be a lot closer than I think everyone thinks, and it might go down to the wire, personally. I hope North smack them, but like...
I'm tipping North. I'd be silly not to.
Absolutely silly.
I genuinely think North they've got to lose sometime.
Oh,
whether it's now or whether it's round 3 next year or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It'll only matter to them, not us. Look, I've got to go North. They've had the extra a week off. Brisbane have had, having to travel and all this sort of stuff a couple of times. North have been pretty settled. There's really no one injured.
No, they're pretty solid at the moment, North.
Yeah. There's not a lot of, noise around players wanting to leave. If anything, they're similar to us. They're already like every other off-season getting linked to every other decent player from every team just so they can get stronger again.
Yep.
Weston Turner, I think, is going to go there now. Just as another number 1 draft pick North Melbourne needs. It's a Equalisation's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Eh?
Oh, we've learnt that, haven't we?
Yeah. No, look, I do think North. Couple smart Alec Brisbane players mocking Sophie Mackay's
That
goal
rubbed me the wrong way.
celebrations.
Rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, I mean, it's very easy to. Having said that, their response would be, well, it's very easy to be. I don't think Sophie's being a smart ass with goal celebrations. She's just celebrating and embracing atmosphere and everything. But by mocking someone, a prelim seems a week early to do it. Because until you've won the flag, you've achieved stuff all.
Donuts.
So, I mean, in a week they may or may not have egg on their face. So, good luck. But there's a handful of North players who, on the weekend, Melbourne tried to do it to. Who were they pushing around? Used to play for them. Plays for the D's now. Libby Birch. The D's were trying to push her. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The D's players were trying to push around Libby Birch and puff the chests out and do all this. North just went and got the ball and kicked goals rather than worrying about that crap. It was.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it has left a bit of taste in my mouth as well. I do respect Brisbane as a group, but a few individual players can bite me, and hopefully they get theirs this weekend.
I honestly think
that Kate Sheila rips a few of them apart. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, former Blue, Kate Sheila. I honestly think that it'll be a close game, and I hope North get over the line because they have been absolute benchmark for the last 2 years. But it would be pretty funny if their streak started by losing a grand final and ends by losing a grand final to the same team.
Yeah, the part of me kind of hopes that, if you're going to lose in a prelim, you should kind of hope that the team that beat you went on to win it so you can say, well, we only didn't make it because we had to play them or whatever. But no, I'm going to go the petty route and say that I hope North win just for a bit of spite. No one bags Sophie Mackay and gets away with it. And
no way. And her celebrations are harmless. She was just having some cheeky fun, as you do when you're.
It's not aimed at anyone. It's her celebrating and embracing. It's her hyping herself up and her teammates up. Yep. It's not like she's targeting anyone or.
No,
she might. I don't know. On the field, she might have a bit of lip into the opponent's mouth. I don't know what happens, but yeah, just
Go North.
Go North, indeed.
Go North.
Kanga.
Roo. Wonder if they'll have a decent banner this week.
It'll be interesting. Look, it would have been nice at Icon Park to play in a grand final at Icon Park. Would have been really, really special. So
it would have been. And look, don't worry, 2026 we will be there. If we keep this group as solid as we have for this entire year, I can't see why we can't take the next step next year. And Bucky has brought this group along for the journey, and I reckon he has probably been one of our best coaches.
Well, I don't think it's a hard act to follow the last bloke. You've made very clear my thoughts on the last coach, who shall remain nameless.
You know my thoughts on this coach. I pretty much named him every single week without naming him. And the fact that he now comments on our games makes me laugh. Pretty much.
But rather than focusing on someone who doesn't deserve attention and focus, what I will say is that I find Matthew Buck to be such a captivating talker, a charming man, a very, very intelligent when he speaks about footy and life. He's the sort of person that I could just listen to him talk about anything, and I find him fascinating.
You can talk all day to him about footy. He loves talking about footy.
I find him fascinating, and I think it's no surprise that, again, a younger demographic of our playing list, a coach like that has really embraced and engaged with them.
Absolutely.
And not just him, but I think it's credit to all of the line coaches. Shout out to Jess Del Pos. They've put people into positions who A, give a shit,
Yep.
but B, know their footy, know this group. And we're so far reaping some rewards of that. And as I said, it can only get bigger and better.
That's it.
The AFLW, our best and fairest, is coming up
Next week.
Next week, yeah.
Yep, I believe tickets are sold out for our BNF already.
We've heard this, which, you know, to sell out the Palladium is a great thing, whether they're using the whole room or not. But Carlton, if you're listening and there's any extra tickets out there, please. There's a lot of us who would like to. There's a lot of us who would like to get there. No, but there's a lot of us who would like to get there. You know, we know of a lot of people who, granted, there's a lot of people who were probably wanting to go who may have only jumped onto the AFLW bandwagon the last 6 or 8 weeks.
Yep.
I think that should be really embraced. I don't think that love and viewership of the AFLW should be this exclusive thing. Or, well, you didn't care last year, why care now? You should absolutely be embracing everyone for jumping on. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that if there are any possibilities that they're able to jam a few more couple of tables in there like sardines, do it. More money for the club.
This group deserves to be celebrated. Absolutely.
And that's the thing. They really do. It'll be really interesting. So last year, Keely Shirar wins it.
Who wins it this year?
Well, I think last year was Keely, Abby was second, and I think Jess Good came third. This year, can you differentiate between our? Can you differentiate between our two All Australians? Can you pick a first and a second between them? Is it for me? They're the top two, but
100%. It could go either way. I reckon Harriet possibly in the smallest of margins. I don't know.
Don't forget also that a best and fairest count also includes finals.
You're correct by our top 3 last year. Jess Good.
I did get it.
You got it.
There's something to be said about the late season form and finals form of even the Sophie Mackay to maybe make a late charge for that top 3. Maddie Guerin as a final. I've told Maddie this, but my opinion, the first 2 finals we played, the West Coast and Hawthorn game, I thought Maddie was pretty close to best on ground in both.
Absolutely. Just the fact that she even had to fight for her position this year, and she came back and she proved to everybody why she deserved to be in there. I reckon she's a smoky.
You want to talk about players, and I said before about just because you haven't smashed it this year doesn't mean you won't in future years. Maddie Guerin is as important to our side as anyone out there. I think she's absolutely phenomenal. I'm an unashamed Maddie Guerin fan. I tell her all the time that I think she's effing awesome. I tell you, but I do. I think she's a fantastic user of the footy. Absolutely. Tough as a $2 steak. Tackles people like a rusty turnstile. I think she's great. But outside that, you know, you've got Mim lost a couple of games due to injury. Abby missed a couple of games due to injury.
Ronnie
was fantastic. Keely Shirar just didn't drop many spots. Then you've got the ones who just all year turned up and do a job every week. Great question, a great response. I think Tara Bahana's another one who, if you're trying to find that 3rd to 5th spot,
Schultz.
Absolutely, Poppy. There's so many players who in that, let's go to 3rd to 5th or 6th spot. I can think of plenty of names who, if they ended up finishing 3rd, you'd go, oh, yeah, they're pretty good.
Absolutely. And that's what you want. You want a list that, you know, is even competitive in a BNF. Like, there's just such an even spread of our players this year that have been gradually climbing that form ladder, and we rode the wave with them this year pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned before we've given our most improved, so we've now gotten, you know, the BNF. I also think Harriet would be my BNF choice just ahead of Dana.
Yeah.
Probably Ronnie 3rd. But again, any of those other names I mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised
Absolutely.
if someone pipped them for third. The other one would be on BNF last night. In previous years, they've given out a best first-year player. So last year, that was Meg Robertson.
Who would you go for this year? It'd be a split between Poppy and Soph. Would you give it to both of them? Like,
There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer, but I don't know whether there's a right answer.
No.
Over the course of a season, probably Poppy, but the games that Sophie dominated, she was All-Australian quality. Had she have maintained that form for a whole season, she walks into an All-Australian side.
Yeah.
So they're both freak football, like stupidly good at football. That West Coast final at Icon Park, it was raining cats and dogs. The ball would have been like a bar of soap to try and keep under control. And some very, very skillful players were fumbling, and not that their skill made them fumble. The ball was just a bar of soap. Everything Sophie McKay touched was one touch, dish off the handball, or kicking goals out of her backside. She's supreme talent. But yeah, first year player, pick a name.
Oh, I'm going to go Poppy.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'd probably think over the course of a season, maybe Poppy. Yeah. I do love some pop star, but again, Sophie McKay, not a bad shout.
No. Well, it's going to be an interesting few weeks. But I want to thank you again for joining me, Nick, on our final show for 2025. I want to thank everybody that has watched and commented over the season. It's been an amazing season to cap off, playing off in a prelim final, which we probably none of us would have predicted this time last year after finishing where we did. So huge shout out to our girls. We'll be back again next season. You'll probably catch both of us on fan cams during the men's season, I'm sure. But no, thank you again, Nick, so much for coming on. And I love chatting footy with you, especially W stuff. So,
absolutely. Congrats on another season. Look, our W program is going from strength to strength, but not just the BAW show, but so many other content and Carlton platforms are really, really, really embracing the AFLW and giving it the airtime that it really does deserve. And we're seeing, I think the Cheer Squad put up a post on Facebook about a week or so ago about the AFLW, and there was a comment from a guy who would have been probably our father's demographic age, 70s, saying, look, I'm going to be really honest, I'd never given AFLW or women's footy a chance. Holy crap, these girls are great.
Oh, love hearing those
I'm a convert, and
I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, but it's somehow it seems in a bit of a patronising tone sometimes. Oh, get behind them, but
no,
great. So credit to those who continue to giving the AFLW the credit it deserves, and just like the team, onwards and upwards next year.
Absolutely. And just before we finish, AFLW clubs have set a new membership record of 84,644 for the year. So W across the board has kicked off as it deservedly should. But no.
Well, that average is about 7,000 per club. So for North Melbourne, that's their entire fan base. So congrats to North for getting 100% turnout. Well done there.
No, did see that back and forth conversation with the Cheer Squad and Kate McCarthy on.
Sonia Hood. Yeah, well, I hope for North Melbourne's sake they sell out Icon Park because I won't. I've just spent the whole time saying go North this weekend. I'm not going to bag them, but big club.
Big club syndrome. But no, thank you so much, Nick. I will catch everyone again next year. But no. Keep supporting the W. It's so important. And as always, go Blues.
Go the Blues.